We'll start at sharp 5, Manoj. It's 4 minutes left.
Yes,
Yeah.
Will.
Sure.
Good evening, everyone. So it's a great evening. Dhruv, shall we start, Vikram?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes.
Just a second before you start. A very good evening, everybody. So the one thing I would like to share in the very beginning is whoever is participating in this event will be, given a participation certificate by the end of it. So I will be sharing a small Google form link in the chat box with everyone. You just need to fill in your name, mobile number, and email ID so that we can send you the certificate. So please fill it and before this meeting ends. Thank you. Manoj, you can continue. I'll share the link here. I will share it now. I will share it in between the meet and towards the end also, so that everyone gets it.
And also I like to add, if somebody has a query, any question, they can just raise their hand and write in the chat box, and we will answer your queries. So Manoj sir, you can start the session.
Yep. So Dhruv, there are people coming in, you can admit them. So I'll take care of the session.
Sure.
A very good evening, everyone. It is great to have you on this session for building a movie review website with Angular. So first of all, thank you for giving us this opportunity to to share our knowledge with you, and this has given us some very good feeling and perception that students have the keen interest to learn something new. And is this building a movie review website with Angular, is this as easy as it sounds, and is it going to be accomplished with within this 3 hours or 4 hour session? Can this be done? You can make use of this chat box. We'll be personally answering questions, and we'll be discussing in parallel. So you can type in this chat box. You can make this communications over chat box, because I don't want this personally to be a monotonous session. I don't want to continuously talk. This is not going to be a regular session which I want to have with you all. I am going to show you how to build something, and you are going to do it along with me. So that is what I'm expecting. And even if you're not having access to a system, if you want to make note of it, you are free to do it, but feel free to ask any questions you have. Okay, so this is just an interactive session. It is going to be an interactive session, and I want it to be in that way, right? So yes, let us begin. So in this session of 3 hours, and there will be a Q&A session where I'll be showing you how we are going to build this movie review website in Angular. So first of all, to start off this session, before starting off this session, I would like to start off, give an introduction about who we are and what we are doing in this industry, in this EdTech division, and how are we different from the others, right? So this is okay. So you have received the link, everyone, in this chat box. So Bikram has shared this link with you, and this certificate you will be getting by the end of this session. Those who have completed this exercise with me, those who have communicated with me, will be monitoring your active presence throughout the session, and based on that you will be earning your certificate. It is not given to you just for a namesake reason. We are, just because you participated, just because you sat for 3 hours, we are not going to give you this certificate, but we are anticipating at most participation from you. Okay, so the maximum participation from you, we are expecting it. So having said that, let me proceed to tell you who we are. We are Unikaksha, and this is a unified digital education provider where we have a lot of programs for certifications. So what do you mean by certifications? Not the internal certifications which we are providing from Unikaksha, but global certifications which we have. So for data science, we we have this AWS machine learning machine learning certifications provided by AWS, and similarly a lot more programs, cloud certifications, cloud architect, DevOps certifications, RPA, robotic process automation certifications. All these, in order to get this certifications, we are giving you sufficient training. So just to give you that confidence for clearing this certification in just one shot. Are there anything like this? We are unsure, but we have defined our curriculum in such a way that you will be in a position to clear your certifications examinations in just one shot. And similarly for skill enhancement. So we are having some specific programs for students of their final years, and maybe in their third years. We are offering number of programs like internship, short-term courses, crash courses, micro skill certification programs, and finally the actual certification programs which will earn you a job. And this is a committee. This is going to be an organization which is unique. Why do I say unique? Is because we have formed a very strong team who are from this academic, who are having this academic experience and who are from the industry. I personally relieved myself as the head of the department from CSE, and later I joined into this training industry, and I'm here with both the years of experience. And currently I'm heading the team of products and curriculum in Unique Action. The next thing we have, which is a universal curriculum, right? So we do not define our own curriculum, but whatever we have has been formed universally, has been accepted universally. We have a number of tie-ups with a number of companies, and we are delivering our programs to accommodate their needs, to cater their needs. So let's say we have partnered with a company and they are asking for one data scientist with so and so skills. So let's say Tableau, or they are requiring someone who is very good in business intelligence, deriving some business insights to intelligence. So if they want such candidates, we would be training them and we would be sharing them the candidates. And our curriculum will be having some uniformity throughout the sessions. So how we have planned it, the number of it is not going to be a theoretical session. We build our products along with you. So I'm not going to teach you how to do something, but we are actually going to train you how to do something. And this happens to every topic in our curriculum. And it is going to be intensive. It is an immersive program. And upon completion of this training period with us, you will be definitely skillful, and you will secure a good job in your secure your dream job, right? And that is what we are very proud of. This is going to be a code along session. So I'll be opening you. There is, the number of PPTs which we present is just very minimal. I'm quickly going to take you to our platform, and I mean the platform in the sense VS Code or any code editor which you can find. So make sure that you are coding along with, okay? So, right. Next is what we have. These are the foundation programs which we have. These are the programs which we are offering. The foundational programs, associate certification programs, professional level certification programs, and finally the job ready programs. Job ready programs and the associate level certification programs are more focused towards the engineering graduates. And when it comes to professional level certifications, you are again eligible to pursue that. And this foundational program is common for everyone, complete beginners, right? And these are the domains which we have. We have this machine learning, we have this data science, Python programming, Java programming. And when it comes to full stack development, we have in Mean, MERN, Java, and Python. We are also offering the certification program in AWS, Azure, and Java testing, Selenium testing, right? This is what we believe. Learn continually. There is always one more thing to learn, okay? So, we might have this confidence that we know everything, which is in our curriculum, and that is not sufficient for the industry. right? If I'm not wrong, whatever I have studied in my schoolings, in my graduation, you are still studying the same thing. But industry, the industry is completely different from what we have studied. It has gone to the next level. You would have come across number of articles. So I would request you all to mute yourself, please. And please do not draw anything on the screen. Otherwise, you will be forcing us to remove you, right? So this is what we believe, and what are we going to build in today's session. So we'll be discussing about the architecture of a movie review website. We'll be having a number of we'll be having a discussion over the backend technologies, and we'll understand how applications will communicate within each other and also with the users. We'll be using a number of tools, number of frameworks, and we'll be building the backend using Strapi, right? So this is a Node.js based content management system. All of you would have come across this term called the learning management system or virtual learning management system. So in these in this pandemic situation, many of you would have accustomed to this, practice of virtual learning, right? How many of you are, confident that you possess some skills which the industry is actually expecting? So the thing is, okay, to answer these questions, yes, you can use any online editor. You can use Postman, and right. To answer a few questions, we are providing internship as well, and you can use VS Studio, VS Code, anything is fine. And moving forward, so what is this virtual learning process? How do you learn something virtually? Is it always coordinated towards learning something through a laptop or a mobile phone? Is that called as virtual learning system? No, right? So if someone is presenting to you over a laptop, or sharing a screen, or if it is a Zoom session, Google Classroom, or anything else, it doesn't matter at all. What do you mean by virtual? Is actually of a bigger sense, right? Abdul, we are already recording this session. If you feel like you want this recording, we'll be mailing that to you. No problem in that, right? So the purpose of virtual learning is to automate a lot of processes. So what do you mean by automating some process? I'm going to give you, let's say I'm sharing you my screen, and I'm asking you to, let's say, read out something from the screen. You will be able to do it. But how does the system measure the accuracy of your reading? You're getting my point? Let's say you are writing something and you are sharing that to me on, let's say, WhatsApp. I want an automated grading system which evaluates your submissions, and this is going to grade you according to your accuracy level. How easy it would be? Yes, I'm going to show you in a minute. So this content management system is actually something which holds the information, which accepts the information, processes that information, and finally presents that in a beautiful way, right? This is what we call it as a content management system. So how do we build a content management system? That is what we are going to see in today's session, and we'll be using Strapi for that. So why do we require Strapi? Can't we hard code something? Yes, we can. But how much time is it going to take? Right. So Abdul Raj Nigam, yes, you are right. So a content management system is going to have different provisions. This is going to give us a lot of options to simplify our work. And that is how we can accomplish this movie review website in just 3 to 4 hours, right? And speaking about the requirements for building this application today, you are advised to possess some knowledge over this Node.js, NPM, Yarn, Angular, and VS Code. So VS Code is the actual platform which I'm going to use, the IDE which I'm going to use, and Angular is the front-end technology. Yarn and NPM are packages which will be responsible for integrating both our front-end, middleware, and the backend. I'm going to use this Node.js as the middleware, where I'll be communicating with the backend. So I'll be building an API using Strapi. That Strapi will be communicating with Node.js, and Node.js will communicate that information to the front end using Angular, right? So this is what we are going to discuss. So we are going to combine Angular and Strapi to build a movie review website. The primary objective that we are going to accomplish today is how do you build something as a full stack application. So this is just going to give you a foundational level knowledge of that. So you will be discussing a lot of different technologies together. I'll be building everything to you, and you will be working on how to display that accordingly by the end of the session, right? So we do not know how this movie is made, right? So there are a lot of background operations which are happening, and we will, we'll be they'll be shooting a scene, and they'll be making some changes to that scene. They'll be applying some graphics. They'll make some corrections in terms of the color, saturation, hue, and so on, right? And all those we do not know. But once the movie is released, either on an OTT platform or when it is released, so in a theater, we just watch it. We just give our comments, right? So this is how we have separated our application. So I'll be building the backend and I'll be building the front end. So whatever is supposed to happen in the backend, we'll be doing all those processes. I'll also provide a provision for on this front end itself so that those changes are made. The session today, it is going to be for 3 hours. So I'll be engaged for the entire 3 hours, and you can, yes, we will be sharing the recording to the email IDs which you have used to register, right? And this is how the architecture is supposed to be. So there is a backend, there is a front end, and the middleware will be used to connect both these ends, the front end and the back end. And we have planned how our application should work. So there will be some buttons for adding a movie, for editing a movie, for removing a movie, and so on. And let us start building the app. So this is us. This is the end of the PPT. So there is no more boring PPTs, and I won't be doing the talking much, but I'll be showing you how to build it right immediately after you have made a note of all these contact information. So you can go to our website for learning, for understanding of what our products are and how our products are different from the others and how affordable they are. The ultimate aim is not to make money out of teaching, but our aim is to give some quality candidates to our partner companies. We have partnered around with 40 to 50 companies where they are expecting some pure talent, and we are on a mission to identify those talents, right? So this is our website, www.unicaksha.com, and this is our email address if in case you want to communicate with us. And this is the official number of ours, which you can make a note of. So let me immediately proceed to our platform. Yes. So here we are. So I'm opening a new terminal. I hope this is clear. If it is not clear enough, you can ask me. I'll zoom in a bit. So I have initialized the file structure. This is going to be, we'll be building two separate file structures, one for the backend and the other for the front end. So I'll start off with the backend now, where I'll be installing this Strapi, the content management system. And this content management system is based upon Node.js. How many of you are aware of this Node.js? So I'll address you as a team. So how many of you are aware of this Node.js platform? Okay, very good, Abdul. Great. Yes. Great. So how many of you know Angular then? Great. So this is what we are going to build today. But anyways, let me see if I can simplify the job for you, or maybe give you a few hints on how this is going to be in real life environments. So let us start. So first of all, I would like to start off with so you can create this folder. Dhruv, can you please mute the participants? They are unmuting themselves. Yep. So I've created a folder, I've created a directory, and I have moved into that respective directory. So this is when for the first time, for those who do not know how this is going to work, I'll be showing you one simple example. So only almost half of you know how this the server works, and I'll be showing you the initial structure of this application. Okay, so this is the very first time you are logging in. This is how it will be, and I've just created a folder or a directory called as movie ng. Ng indicates Angular, and now I'm just going to move into that Angular folder. So ng, and now I'm just going to okay. So before that, make sure that you have installed all the required dependencies, right? So I've installed this dependency called yarn. Yarn is a package of for creating applications with Angular, and I'm going to use Strapi app. I'm going to name this as movie API, and I'm just going to skip some important functionalities. Potential, I'm just going to move some necessary things. Okay. Okay, I'm just having some. So this is the command for installing yarn. And let me just, if this is going to create some trouble, let me just remove this. Just hold on a second. Okay. So I'll just start off with a new folder. So we have created our folder, and I'm just going to install the necessary packages. So this is going to take some time. So this, I thought of showing you this basic example for showing you how this node will work. But anyways, since many of you already know about this, I'm just going to so I've created a new template. So this will be implementing the overall hierarchy of how my application is supposed to work. So what happens is, let me see if anyone has come up with any questions. Okay, Abdul, removing that package log JSON to package JSON in directory will not work because it should be having some dependencies inside, right? So that is the reason for not changing. So anyways, so you see there is nothing inside, right? Yes. So that is the reason for not changing that and creating a new new folder altogether. So this thing is ready. So this is where our backend server would be launched, right? And once these dependencies are installed, we will be having a block, and we are going to change that into a this format, movie review website format. Okay. This is going to be pretty simple, guys, because whatever we are going to do, we need not hard code anything. Everything will be handling with the help of a browser window. Okay. So that is what we are going to have. This is the usual time taken, so don't think that it is taking longer. because it is going to set every required package and it is going to give you a complete package to you, right? And that is the reason for the delay. And once done, we'll start off by creating the administrator and how this administrator is going to define the structure of the values which are going to be contained in our application, right? So that is what we are going to discuss. Once these dependencies are done, let me just check it. Yep. So the moment it installs this, we'll be getting the server will be prompted for getting the server login. So you can see here, this will give you this. So this is almost similar to React, guys. So create React app is there, right? So when you're giving this create React app, what is going to happen? It organizes your application for React. Similarly, in Angular client, that will be doing the same thing for you. And in this case, this is Strapi, which builds our UI, user interface. So that is what we are going to see. If it is not done this way, what are you supposed to do? So for that, I'll show you how this is going to work. So this is a normal node server. Okay. So what is this node server going to do here is, this is a method, the HTTP method, and I'm going to create an instance of this HTTP method. I'm going to invoke this with the help of an inbuilt method called create server. You can leave Abdul Talib. We will be sending you this recording through over your email. Thank you for your time. Take care. Right. Now, let us assume that we are asking for a root folder. So what do you mean by a root folder? www.google.com. Right. When you type this, what is happening? The page gets loaded, right? That is called as the root folder over here. And what is supposed to be shown on your browser screen when the request is made for this particular URL? You are getting my question? Yes. So this is the request. So a user is requested for the root folder or the home page. And what is the response supposed to be given? So welcome to our home page. This is just a simple scenario which I have written here. This is just to showcase how a node server will be launched. Okay. So there is no relationship between this application and the application which you are going to build. Else, if the user is asking for about us page, what it should return? What if the user is asking for something which is not available? Everything which we have in a server is known as some content, right? And we are going to tell this to the server that a request will be made for a particular resource, and you have to provide them this resource in this way. That is the response. So everything is going to be a callback function. There are two parameters for this callback function, not in node server, but in any server which you can come across, which you are going to build. So there is going to be a request, there is going to be a response, and based on your request, it provides you that particular operation or particular resource. What if you are not authorized to access a particular resource? That happens to be an authorization issue, right? And that I'll be showing you that. So let us move on to our browser screen. And here we are. Excuse me, guys. So you can see here, the very first time our Strapi application is loaded successfully, is installed correctly, what it does, it is going to ask for authentication. Now you should have understood why authentication is very important, because no one else other than authenticated persons, authorized persons, should enter our application. So I am going to enter my credentials here. So this is applicable for any project which you are building. Okay. So now we are going to deal with the backend. So let's say I'm given my first name and last name, and I have to give my email ID at codeshastra.com. Let's give a password. So make sure that you are giving the right password, guys. So otherwise, you will not be allowed to enter inside this. Yes. So what has happened? Our application has been launched successfully. So localhost means this is an IP. Okay. So 127.0.0.1. This is the IP of your machine when it comes to internal servers, local servers which you are running on your machine. Okay. And what is this admin? This happens to be a particular user's address, right? A particular user's address over here. And this happens to be the port number. The port number can be dependent on the type of communication which you are going to make with this server, right? So in this case, I have defined this as a blog, but we are not going to use many of this. Feel free to simply give it as a quick start. So whenever you are installing on your machine, if you are giving it as a quick start, what will happen is this will be you will only have users inside that. Okay. So we have set up our backend successfully, right? And now we are going to start our process. So what is our process now? Once we have done this, we are going to create something, right? We are going to create how this structure is going to work. Okay, apologies. Let me just get started. Right. So these are some basic content inside. So you can see what is literally inside your application with the help of this this setup. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'll be making some changes here. So I'll be deleting all this. Okay. Or let me just So yes, this is the communication. I mean, this is the official information of yours. I'm just trying to make some changes here to some categories. Just give me 1 second, guys. I just don't want to, you to get confused, because, if I'm making some changes in the blog website and you are making some changes over here, so this will be slightly challenging for you. So in the meantime, I'll show you how this is going to be defined. Okay. So there will be two options with us. One will be having movies. In that movies, that is almost similar to a collection, right? So what do you mean by a collection? The collection is some records which we are going to have, right? So the collections, what are the information you can hold about a particular movie? So we'll be having five information about that, where I'll be extracting some images and we will be posting those images onto the movie screens, right? So a movie's poster will be there, a movie's name will be there, and what else can be there, guys? The director's name can be there, maybe the user information, the movie's details can be there. So all these things can be included into that, and we are going to uh, edit with the help of the backend as well as the front end, right? So that is what we are going to do. Just hold on a second. This, I literally don't want to confuse you with this API, with this blog API, and that is why I'm taking you back again. We will just quick start. We will reinstall this yarn again, and we'll jump rightly into the concepts, right? There is one more thing which you should be installing, which happens to be the Postman. You cannot create, front ends for different. You cannot create front ends for different API for testing different APIs. So what you can simply do is you can connect your local machine over this Postman, and this API, this will give you a platform for testing out the APIs. So that is what we are going to do. So you can see here, I've already tested out, and this can be downloaded for free. And what you can simply do is you can type in your localhost, let's say 5,000 I have. So if at all, let me just show you in that case. So once this has been deleted, yes, done. Yep. So it is creating again, and we'll be able to. Okay. So before that, I'm going to add another PowerShell, and let's include. So I told you, right? So this is a server, and I'm going to show you an example on a browser. So how a node server will be deployed. Because we will be working very closely with this, guys. So localhost colon 5000. So what is being displayed here? Welcome to our home page. So what I have requested in this welcome.home page, I have requested for the root folder, the home folder, the root directory. You can call any name with this. So whenever we are calling for this, what is supposed to happen? This is going to return us welcome to our home page. Or let's say I'm making a change here so that you should not think that I'm cheating you, and I'm coming up with this pre-written. So welcome to Unique Aksha homepage. If I'm refreshing this, no change is going to happen because I have to restart my server. If I refresh this, you can note a change over here. So welcome to Unique Aksha's homepage. And now if I'm asking for a page about, which is already there. So if I'm asking for about, and what is this 3 equal to means? It is strictly equal to, okay? So we have this ES6 syntax, which measures strict equality and strict inequality. So whenever something is exactly the same, you cannot give it like this, right? So you cannot give capital A over here. So if you are asking for capital A, what it is supposed to return? And let's say you are asking for this, what it is supposed to return. So these are the things which will be taken care of, especially when it comes to a server. Now, if I'm adding something other than a required resource, else, if the root folder is requested, I have to return this. If about us page is requested, I have to return this. But what if something else is asked? What should be returned? So it comes under the else part, where we have this 404 error and page not found, and a link to take us back to the home page. So this is how a node server will work. And now I'm going to show you the same thing with the help of Postman. So you can see here the response has been obtained. So this status tells us that it is a successful HTTP request. All these methods are going to tell us how these HTTP methods are going to connect with each other, and the time taken for establishing the connection, the client and server connecting with each other, getting the request, processing the request, and transferring back the response. So all these things will be measured within this time, and the status code indicates whether it is a successful response or not. And if I'm going to ask for, let's say, about, so what should be returned? About us page should be returned, right? And what if I'm asking for about one, or let's say I'm just asking for a contact us page. So when I'm asking for contact page, it doesn't have that resource, right? So this is a resource, and for that resource, I'm trying to retrieve something which is not possible. And that becomes the primary reason for handling our, this is called as a content management system, right? So let me see if our server has completed its execution. Yes, it has. Yes, we have our server again. So let me just define the same names. So you might have a confusion that, no, I'm from Unique Aksha and I'm giving my email as Shastra. This is again one of our organizations which we have, right? This Unique Aksha is a separate division of Shastra. just going to give in a password and let's log in now. So let's start. So you can see here, this is more general version of what we have discussed, right? So that this is a reason I brought you back again. I wanted to show you how the actual version will look like. Because if you're using an e-commerce website, you can have this template, you can download this template, but you can, if you're working on a more generalized format, you should be knowing how this is actually working. Because, I don't want you to make some changes to a different template. So I'm going to create my content type now. And what am I going to create here? So I'm going to create a movie review website, right? So let's define this as movies or movie maybe, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a collection type. What do you mean by a collection? Whenever you are speaking about a movie, these are the parameters which we will be creating inside for every movie. So what do you have for a movie? You have the name, you have the posters URL, you have the description for that movie, description or synopsis, you have the year in which it was released, you have the genre. Genre means it is whether a comedy film, a romantic film, or a horror film. I personally like a lot of horror movies. So these are the important parameters which indicates that a movie which indicate that a movie can be represented with, right? So I'm going to create a collection name movie, and the very next thing it is going to ask you is what type of fields you want to be excuse me guys. So what type of data you want to hold within this movies. So that is a text type, right? So I'm going to have name inside, and this name is going to be a small text, right? Now I'm going to add another field which is also of the same text type, and now I'm going to have image URL. So I personally take up this camel case, guys, because this camel case is what JavaScript, it is not that understands, but it is the convention. Okay. So just because of that convention, I'm using this camel case, and I'm going to add another field where I'm going to have, so I've given this image URL. Now I'm going to have this synopsis inside. Synopsis indicates that it might be description. This is the description for this, and I'm going to have, let's say, year in which it has been released. Now I'm just going to have another field which holds the genre, right? So this genre indicates, okay, so I just don't have any other parameters inside. So what I'll simply do is I have created this, and what is the next thing you have to do? You have to save this, right? We have saved this, and okay, so just give it some time. It will refresh and it will take us inside. So you can see here, movies have been created. The collection with the name movies has been created, and we have added that inside, right? Now we'll discuss about so I'm just going to click movies. Now it is expecting some information inside, right? So what is that information? What is the state? Just give me a second. So image URL. So I've just refreshed. Coming back to the movies. Okay, so add a new movie is there. And so let's add Jurassic Park. Okay. I'm quickly going into a browser. Jurassic Park. I'm going to go into this images and I'm just going to take out a suitable image. Make sure you are getting this image URL. Okay. So the image URL should always end with either a JPEG or a PNG format. If it is not doing that, then if it is not in the right format, you will not be displaying that correctly. So you can see here, none of this have this address. So you can see here, this has the URL with the extension .jpeg. So I'm going to have this JPEG inside and a few words about Jurassic Park and in which year it was released. So in the year 1999. And what is this genre? Let's call this as a thriller movie. I'm saving this. So what is going to happen? This data, this information has come into our application, but it is not published yet. So I'm going to publish. So what is the difference between storing it and publishing it? So publishing means you make something available for further access, right? So now I'm just going to move on to this movie and you can see here that it is published, right? And now I'm going to add a few more movies here. Let's call this as Avengers and okay, I'm just going to take some pictures for Avengers. Let's see if this image address can be obtained. No. No. Yes. So I'm going to add this image inside. And when was this released? This is going to be a sci-fi movie. And when is this released? Let's say 2019. And synopsis: Avengers to save the world. Right? So let me just save this and publish this. So this is how we can see this information. So now if I come back to this movies, you can see here there are two movies inside and both these movies are stored and published. Now I'm coming to Postman where I'm going to access this. So here I'm going to change the port number and if I'm asking for movies, what it is supposed to return. What has happened? It is stating that method not allowed. Why? Because it doesn't know that we are authorized to do that. Right? So how do we authorize this? Come to the settings, go to this users and permissions plugin, go to this roles and edit. So make sure that you are allowing everything. You are giving all the access to this public. Otherwise, your resources will not be active. Right? So you have to make sure that everything is allowed. If you save this and if you are coming back to this Postman, you will be seeing a difference. Okay, so this is delete. I'm going to get. So what is happening here? So what has been stored inside has been collected successfully with the help of Postman. Excuse me, guys. So understood? So let's say I'm going to add another route to it or route. So when I want only one movie to be displayed, I'm just going to send one. So whatever the movie is with this ID, it will be printed here. And whatever, if I'm giving 2, this will be printed here. Let's say I'm giving 3, which is not available, and hence it throws us an error. So these are the predominant methods which you should be understanding when you are handling with a full stack application, right? So what do you mean by get? That means it is going to get something out of the resource. I mean, from the server, there is a resource available. I have to get it outside. And for getting that outside, I'm going to have this method called get. Whenever I'm posting this, what do you mean by post? That means you're trying to send in some value, right? So whenever you are trying to send in some value, you should be able to give in all these keys. So before sending in, make sure that you are coming over here to this body and you have this name. So these are the keys which you have. So name you have, image URL, year you have, genre you have, and the description you have. In this case, it is not description, but synopsis. And once I'm posting this, so let us see what is happening. So what has happened? Okay. URL it is. And what has happened? It has created a new ID and it has posted the values inside, right? So all these information, has been created successfully. So what do you mean by put? So now if I'm getting this method, if I'm getting to see what are the available methods, what are the information inside. So you can see here, I have created only 2 and there are 4 currently. So let me just come back to this code here. So if I'm going back to this movies, you can see here there are 4 information, right? So this is how we will be manipulating the information available inside our application. Got this? Now I'm just going back here and I'm going to make some changes here. So what now you have understood about get and post, right? So what do you mean by get? We are extracting some information. And what do you mean by post? We are posting some information. And what do you mean by put? So I'm going to make some changes here. So let's say I'm going to make some changes to a specific movie 3. So what I'm going to make here, so I'm going to access this 3 and I'm going to change this key to synopsis. Okay, so synopsis was already there. Let's say the image URL has been given, right? So here image URL has not been updated. So let's see if this can update this. So what happened? The ID of this movie is 3 and the image URL has been updated. Now I'm going to show you how to delete something. So I'm just going to come back to this get method. So how many elements we have now? So 1, 2, 3 and 4 we have. Now if I want to delete this 4. So what will happen? The 4 would have been deleted and I'm going to get this information now. Now, if I'm getting this information, you would notice only 3 values are inside. Got it? We are building, okay, Mahesh, we are building something like IMDb. Okay. IMDb, the moviedb.org. Likewise, we are going to build. So understood? So this is how the backend works. If I'm refreshing this page, you will be seeing, excuse me. So you can see here the information about the updated movies are displayed here. So this is what we have to, this is all you have to understand about the backend processes, guys. Understood? Everyone? So I've shown you how this can be done with the backend, right? Now I'm going to show you how this can be, how something can be done with the help of the front end. This is going to take us some whole lot of time, guys. So because I'm going to type and show you the entire code. We will cut short to some simple modules, but anyways, I'll tell you how this Angular will be working, right? So only 2 has responded. Mahesh, okay, it is looking tricky. Once you have got some enough practice on this, Mahesh, it is going to be very easy. Just imagine the same thing being done on Node. You have to write number of routes, and for every route you have to take care of individual processes and so on, right? So anyways, it takes some time, and this is whatever you can do by writing code for Node.js applications, you can do it on the front end. So that is why we use Strapi for. So let me just come back to the code here, and here we are. So let me just stop this. Stop the server, and I'm just going to come into the right folder. Come into the right folder for creating our application, the front end application. So the very first thing you have to understand in with respect to just give me a second. Okay, no issues. So I'm just going to remove this. I'm coming into this movie ng. So when it comes to Angular or React applications, what you should understand is a concept called as components. What do you mean by components? Sunil, we will be sharing the recording to everyone who have registered through their email, but it doesn't mean that you have to leave. So this is a code along session. You can code along with me, or if you, we will still circulate the certificates for everyone, right? So in that email, you can get access to this recording. So, okay, coming back to my question. So what is the meaning of a component? So let's say you have a home page, right? To make code in Node.js to connect database server. Not actually, Smitra. I'm afraid you're not exactly correct, but still I accept your explanation. Great. And yes, Magesh, it is a separate element. Great. Very good, Magesh. So I have a home page. Okay. I have a individual page. So what is this home page going to carry? This home page will be having all the movies list, right? Now, this individual page will be having only one movie. Now, let us say, okay, I'm going to quickly take you to a very good example over here. Okay, let us speak about YouTube. Why I'm speaking about YouTube? Okay, so you can see here, there are boxes, right? So this is a frame which holds an image. Do you all agree with me? This is again a similar one. This is again a similar one. And you can see here, there is a frame for an image. Under that image, we have a bolded heading, a heading in bold. Next, we have a small description. Next, we have whether it is an ad or not. If it is not an advertisement, what is being there? The channel's name is there. Number of views are there. When it was published was there, right? So you just see for all these content, I mean, all these content, the template is the same, right or not? Now I'm going to ask you this question. Do you think that YouTube's developer has written individual codes for all of these? Just imagine how many billions of videos would be there on YouTube, right? What the YouTube developers would have done this, they would have written a component, and in that component, they would simply define how this is supposed to be organized. Based on the number of videos, they would have written a loop for every video available, right? For each video available in my database, what am I supposed to do? I am supposed to extract these information. What is that information? The heading is an information. Who is the what is the channel's name? That is the information. Number of views is an information. When it was posted. So all these are information. I selectively define this template on what to post on my homepage, right? That is called as a component. Now I'm coming back here. So the homepage will be having all the movies inside. The individual pages will be having only one movie. And whenever I want my work to be simplified, what I would simply do is I would reduce the number of code which I'm going to write. Am I correct? I don't repeat myself. The purpose of full stack development is to write once and use it many other times. Write once, run anywhere is a concept of Java, but no, do not repeat yourself. The concept called as dry. The concept called as dry. Okay, sorry, I typed in the chat box by mistake. So the concept called as dry. This is do not repeat yourself. I don't know why this name has come, but still, this is the concept. So this is what we are going to follow, right? And for that, we will be creating our applications inside. So how do we create that? We are going to create that with the help of Angular. Just like Yarn, just like Node, NPM, and so on, you should also possess Angular inside your application. So for installing Angular, this is the command. So npm I at Angular/client-g indicates global, right? Since I have already Angular installed in my computer, I'll just check if it is there. Should be there. So I have Angular inside, and you can see that is that is why I'm receiving this, right? So Angular CLI has been is installed already on my computer. I didn't want to install and show you how this is done because it will be taking slightly longer. So the time would not be sufficient for building our application. So that is the reason for that. So let me just quickly move into this. So NG stands for Angular, and I'm just going to create some API. I mean, not API, but I'm just going to create the front end application. So the moment this would be done, this will be creating a Angular project. So for simplicity, I'll just accept what it is asking. So CSS and the routing I'm going to use. And once I have given this, again, just like Yarn, just like Strapi, it is going to compose my entire application together. So Angular, I have to tell you this difference, guys. Angular is a framework. Is React a framework? Mahesh, Abdul, you can answer. Okay, great. I'm not going to tell whether it is right or not until all of you give me an answer. So is Makesh the only person who is participating inside? The others are simply sitting. So there are no right or wrong answers in my class, guys. You can just feel free to just type in your comments. Sumitra, are you there? What do you think? Is React? Bhavna is there. Jagdish, Manoj Kumar, a participant with the same name as I have. Manoranjan, Preetam. So what do you think, Roja Reddy, Sumitra? Yeah. So what do you think is, no, Angular is a framework, yes, but React is React a framework? Okay, since you are delaying this, I'm just proceeding. Okay, great. Yes, it is not a framework. This is React is just an extended library of JavaScript that simplifies your job, right? So why do we say so? Because when you are composing something with Angular, it gives you the entire architecture. It gives you the entire file structure, where your resources are supposed to be, how your resources are supposed to be, right? So all these things it will give you. And that is the reason that you can derive components in Angular also, Magesh. So anyways, that is fine. So let me just move into movie Strapi. So what we have done here, our backend is successfully running, and we have created the front end. We have created a folder for that. We have entered that folder, and let's see where this is. Let me just close this and reopen again. Okay, just give me 1 second, guys. Yep. So you can see here, movie Strapi has brought in. I'm opening the terminal now. So this inside this movie ng, we have this movie Strapi and movie API, which we have created and we have successfully executed, right? So now I'm going to show you how this front end is going to work. So you can see here, Angular is called as a framework because it has all the necessary components required for running a server, right? So that is the reason for calling this as an Angular. I mean, Angular as a framework, and the other as an extended library. Okay, so let's just give me 1 second. I'll start off this Strapi develop. Movie API. So this is going to start our server, and our server is going to run as it is. And now I've started my application. So I'm just going to move into movie with Strapi. And once I have gone inside, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start build something. Okay. So the very first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to make some changes to the HTML file which we have, right? So the HTML file is already there. So you have to go into the source. Inside the source, inside this app, you have all the files required for your application. And let's say you are performing this in, okay, I'm sorry. So this is actually ng serve. So if you are running this ng serve, what happens is our Angular application starts, right? So let me just set up this Y, and so our application would be starting off in a minute. So I'll tell you what we are going to do. Yes, here we are. So now our server is going to run, and 1337. So this is going to have our Strapi running in the backend. Now I'm going to run my front end with a separate port number. So when I'm asking this port number, the port number for Angular site is going to be 4200, right? So once this server is up and running, we'll be coming across with this 4000. I mean, this page should be loaded successfully. Yeah, so we have got this running. So this is the default homepage of the Angular server, but we do not want this to be run. We do not want this, right? So what do we do here? So I'm going to move into this app.html, and I'm just going to select all. I'm just going to remove everything. So why do I remove this? I don't want anything inside. So next, I'm just going to create some important files which I want. So I'm just going to stop the server running for now. Yes. So I'm just going to close this. I'm coming back to this, and I'm going to create some components now, right? So I told you that there are a lot of important components, right? So I'll be creating one component, and I'll be using that to build our application. So ng, G and C. So this is going to indicate that I'm going to create a component, and that component is going to be routed between routed between different modules which are going to be used. And G and C means I'm going to generate a component in Angular. So that is the meaning of G and C, right? So now I'm going to create a component with the name header. I'm going to skip some default processes. I'm going to skip some tests. And this is going to be quick and simple. So you can note here, the moment this runs, a component has been created and a component has been updated. So you can see here, why is this update happening is because this framework will compose everything together. Wherever is required, this will be adding into this. Okay, so app.module.ts is already there. Just in case we might use this header, this gets automatically imported into this app.module.ts. You need not do this specifically. So we have created this header component, and in that header component, we are going to make a few changes. So that is what we are going to do now. Right? And this skip test we have given, right? So these, the skip test and this hyphen T, hyphen S are going to be used for specific purposes. So skip test means I do not want some test files. So what Angular does is it provides you with some default files so that you can test your application. When you don't want that, you will be giving that skip test. I don't want to test my applications with the default files, default resources. So I'm going to skip that. And hyphen T, this dash T means I'm going to use a number of inline templates. S stands for inline styles, T stands for inline templates. So I'll be making some changes over to this code over here. So you can see here, some default structure has been created on its own, right? So import component on init. So from this Angular core, I will be using this component. So what is the meaning of this component? Everything which I'm going to declare here is a component. So you can see here the benefit of using VS Code is that it gives you all the definitions here itself, right? So it is a decorator. A decorator is used to hold the components and its details about the components. When a component will be declared, when a component will be invoked, when the component will be transferred for completing its processes. So all these things will be held within this decorator. This is called as a decorator. So whatever you are giving after this @ symbol, it is called as a decorator. And you can see here, this is what I have defined. So I have defined that I'll be using a default template. I'll be using an inline style. So only to showcase this, I have given this hyphen T and hyphen styles. Otherwise, what I have to do, I have to just type everything, right? So that is the beauty of this Angular, right? So now I'm just going to add a few sessions inside this decorator. So what I'm going to do here is I'll be adding a section, and for simplicity, I'll be having the style sheet copied and pasted because we will not be having time for showing you how that is done. Okay. So anyways, I'll be having this. Where do I have that style? Okay, I guess I have removed that style as well. But anyways, I'm going to define a class for implementing the styles header. So did you all understand what I'm saying, guys, until now? Is everyone understanding this? So these are some names which I have already declared. Then the tags, the class name, division names, everything I'll be declaring already. So movie website, movie review by, let's say, unique action. So these are some default styles which I have already, or it is going to be, we can quickly define those styles. Let me close this section here. Yep. So just for understanding, I'm just giving this tab space here. I'm saving this. Yes, great. So thank you for responding. And let me define this styles here itself. So I'm going to define some styles. Let's call this as header. And this header, let's give it a height. So this is normal CSS, guys. I'm not doing anything new over here. I'm just going to give a background color. What is your favorite color, guys? I'm not going to give your favorite color, but I'm just going to give it mine. Let's say crimson red it is. Okay. And I'm going to give the color of the text to be white. White or white smoke. These are two colors which we have. I'm going to have the property of display as flex. So make sure you are terminating every style element, every styling element with a semicolon. Otherwise, your program won't run. I'm giving padding as 10px and giving align items. So items is going to be centered, and let's use a font family of monospace. You may ask if it is, if there is any specific reason for using monospace. Nothing. That is the only font I remember right now. So header name, I have defined that class over here. So I'm defining that style over here, right? So this dot means there is a styling component. So let's say I just declare this font size over here. So 1.8 million. Let's close this and yeah. So by default, the class header component is exported, right? And it implements the properties of on init. On init will, by default, it calls this constructor, and the constructor will be calling this ng on init again, and which is going to be void in our case. There is going to be nothing inside. And the app header, this is going to be the header. Okay, so the entire content of our website. Okay, so I'll be making some changes here. So now we have our app header ready, right? And we are going to import that header into our. So for every component which we are going to define, we give a name over here, and this template is going to be exported, and now it is going to be imported by this app component.html. This is the default page, right? So I'm going to import this app header inside, and I'm going to save this. So we have our server, I mean the general header of our image, I mean of our website is ready, and that has been imported here. Now we'll be doing a number of things inside, number of routes inside, right? So once we are done with that route, this is not the actual term, guys. I'll come back to this router very shortly. So we will be adding number of routes inside as well. So it is time for us to define the routes. So speaking about routes, so now we have the header of our application, right? Now we want how the movies are supposed to be displayed. So for that, I'm going to create another, I'm going to generate, okay? I'm going to generate another component called movie view, right? So let's call this movie view, and I'm going to give in some random, not random, specific conditions for creating my component. So I want inline template and inline style. I don't want some test information. So you can see here, this will be created and the app modules.ts will be updated accordingly. Now I'm just moving into this movie view, and you can see here how this movie view will be working. So in this movie view, we have a lot of information to be added. So I prefer this to be removed, and I'm going to type it from scratch because this is how I have been trained. So HTTP client. So what this HTTP client is going to do? So this HTTP client is a library which allows us to get some components and work accordingly. So Angular common, and in this common HTTP is going to be there. So what is the meaning of that? I'll be using the HTTP request and methods to process my information. So inside that, I'm going to have activated route. So activated route means I'm going to have number of components, and all those components are going to be separated from each other, and I will be, yes, great. So thank you, Sumitra and Mahesh. So I'll be having this activated route. I have a few more. I can combine any number of packages inside. So I'm just going to have params, and I'm going to have router inside, right? So all these comes under Angular router package. Now I'm just going to, yeah, this, yep. Now I'm just going to import the components which I'm going to use. Component, one is component, the other is on init, yes, the other is template. I'll explain you why these things are being used. Template ref, view child, all these are routes, guys. View container ref, and all these are going to be imported from Angular core. All these are imported from at Angular core. So got this? Now it is time for us to define our decorator. So what is this decorator going to include? This is going to include the selectors, default template, and styles. So let us have the selector, and this selector is going to be given a name. So let's call this as app hyphen movie view, right? So the default names can be given so that it is easily telling us how this is going to be working. So next is, let's define the template, and inside that template I'm going to use this backtick. Inside that backtick I'm going to define what are the supposed to things which we'll be having in this case, right? So I'm going to make this very quick. So div class is equal to, again, for this template which I'm defining, I'll be mentioning the style inside this itself. Okay, so division class, let's call this as movie view itself, and movie view, let's call this as a container, and let's have the division class which is equal to movie view. Again, inside this we have a division class. Now I'm going to display the image, right? So for that I have to define a separate style, movie. So this page, movie view, is for every individual page which we have. Okay, every individual movie we have, and I'm going to define the styles for that. So movie image, and let's call this style, which is equal to, let's have this background image, and let's mention this URL. Now I'm going to display the URL, right? And I mean, I've given the URL inside, so I'm just giving, so image URL. So what I'm trying to do here, guys, I'm closing this division. Now I'm going to define a few more things, which is going to happen very quickly. And once we have done this, let us see if our server is communicating with each other, right? So the next is, we will be having some things for adding and deleting the movies, adding, editing the movies, and so on. So before that, we will be, let's see how this is going to work. Okay. So we have defined this, how this division is going to be declared. And now I have this division style again, is equal to padding. I'm going to give a few styling here, 5px 0. Inside this, let me open a span. Inside that, let me open a button. And this button is going to have the style as, so everything is defined as an inline style. So whenever you are doing it, make sure that you are not doing it like this. Okay. So always make sure that you are defining that as a separate style sheet, because this will seriously affect the SEO operations, right? So btn, and whenever I'm coming with click, which is equal to show. I'm going to add a few functions as well. Show edit. So this will be calling a separate dialog box whenever we are clicking this edit button, right? So that is the purpose of this. And let's close this. Let's call this button as edit, and let's close this button altogether. Got this? So what has happened? I have created a button, and that button is going to have edit option. So whenever this edit option is being clicked, a specific function has to be called. And we will be defining what that function is very short, right? Okay. So I'm just going to copy and paste this just for simplicity, and let's remove this as remove and update this as delete, right? Now instead of this, I'm going to make some changes here. I don't want this style to be the same, right? So for that, I'm going to include the class only. So the button class is going to be button and button danger. So this is a default class. And what is this default class going to tell us? Button danger means should be displayed in red in color, right or not? So let's close the span. And let's close this division as well. So now we have got the important things to be displayed, right? So now we have this span, we have this division, and in that division there are two options, two buttons. So one is for edit and the other is for delete. So editing and deleting we have seen with this put method, right? So now we will be calling how this put method will be working. So now I'm just going to define the styles for the other components of this content. So division and span has been generated. Now we have to mention the other details which we have, right? So division style we have, and in that division style we have some, let's define this padding. Let's have this as 5px 0. Right. And inside this, let's have a span. And let's define the genre here. Genre. And I'm going to extract the details from movie dot genre. Let's close the span. Let's close here itself. Span and closing. Now I'm just going to copy and paste this. Let me close this division. Division I've closed. Now I'm copying and pasting the same thing. So this time I'm going to have some here. Similarly, we have here inside. And let's copy and paste this again. And this time we have the synopsis, but for this, the style has to be different. So I'm just removing this because this is actually a paragraph of information, right? So let's define this class and movie view synopsis count maybe. Let's give it a header. So H3 or H2 maybe. Yes. So the description will be held within this. Let me close this H2 and let's declare a division with the class. So movie synopsis and this is going to be taken out from movie synopsis. And let's close up this division. Right? So we have defined our divisions now that are used to implement everything. So this is class. So let us close this. Division and another division. So the next thing is we'll be having this, what this function is supposed to do, right? So when we have defined this, I guess our application would come to an end. We still have to route all these. This is the major page which we have, right? So let us come back here. So let us define how this container will be working. Container. Container. I'm going to provide some this view reference, which I'll be explaining you shortly. So ng container. Next, I'm going to define some templates. So ng template, how this ng template is going to have, and let's call this as model ref. I'll tell you what these two are, guys. So just hold on a second. Let me complete this code. So app, I'm going to edit my movie, right? So edit movie. This is going to be a dialog box which is being used to call this function. Close dialog. And I'm going to construct this as an array with the values obtained from. And let's close this. Let's close this completely. App, edit. Let's close this division once and for all. Division. Okay, for that, I have to close this ng template, right? So slash ng template. So now I'll be having my style components inside. Styles. This is an array. And I'm going to have my backticks. I'll be defining all the classes which I have defined from here, right? So let's define this movie view container. Let's backtick over here. Display is going to be flex. And I'm going to justify the content. Content is equal to center of this page. So likewise, we'll be defining for all the classes which we have created above. Display, flex, justify, content. Let's justify this to the center again. And what else we need? Let's include padding. And in this case, padding, I'm going to give some 15 pixels. Let's have this width 100 pixels. What are the other classes which I have defined? Padding, synopsis, movie view container, movie view I've done. And for the image, we have got one. So let's define for the image. And movie view details. So these are the classes which we have defined. So movie view, image, and let's define the height as 500 pixels. Let's repeat the background. No repeat. I don't want the background images to be repeated. And let's define the size of the background image as cover. You have multiple other options for giving this. So let's make this background position. Just give me a second, guys. Background position. Make it as center. Margin. Left is going to be 15 pixels. Margin. Right is going to be, let's say 15 pixels again. And Let's give it as padding otherwise. Padding. Okay. Yep. This should do fine. And let's define the flex as 5. Next class is movie view details. What's this? So I'm just going to make it quick. So these beautifications, again, you can do it on your own according to your will and wish. This is something, which takes longer actually. So flex, you have to make sure that you are using these properties accordingly when it comes to flex, right? Right. Next is name. Which one? Margins. Borders. Solid border. Bottom 1px solid and padding is 10px. So next we have this export. We have this one more style which we have to give it, right? View synopsis. So this is going to be H2. So let's give this border bottom 1px solid and padding bottom. Usually again, we are not using that great designing and all. So let's just export this. I'll finally verify where this error is. So we'll come back after completing this module. So I'm going to export this class, and this class is going to be movie view component. This is a component which is going to be carried forward into other elements. So this is going to implement on init, right? On init, and let's define this. So movie is going to be any at view child. Now it is time for us to explain this model ref. So these are some references which we are going to use. So I'll be telling you how this is actually implemented. So model ref, it is template ref any. At you child again.
Manoj sir, just a minute. I request everyone, to fill the certificate which I have sent, this form, so that we can send you the certificates. Yes, everybody just fill this form which is shared. Thank you.
If you have already filled, don't fill it again. View container. Yeah, view container ref and PC ref. Maybe equal to null. I'm defining a constructor. This constructor is default inside this method. So we have to define all these for sure. So we have used this activated route, and this will be calling this activated route. Similarly, we will be having this private HTTP, which calls this HTTP client, and we'll be having this private router, which is going to call this method from right. And let's define this on init, ng on init, ng on init. This is going to be a void function, and so this dot activated route. So what is this activated route going to do? So this is going to call the parameters, and let's call subscribe. And based on this subscribe, based on the parameters, I'll be calling the respective parameters to be returned. This happens to be a callback function, and in this callback function, I'll be checking a condition. And what is the condition if I'm going to check? So params ID. Params states that the request which we are getting from the user. And let's define this const ID, which is equal to params ID. So this is very much similar to what we have done in this node server, guys. So we check for a specific ID, and if it exists, what we are going to return. So this .http is going to get the information from this is where we are connecting the backend. Please listen, guys. Though you have not, though you are not concentrating when I was defining the style elements, just listen now. This is where we establish the connection between the front end and the back end. So you can see here, I'm providing the connection between the front end. So how is it going to connect? Where is it going to connect? Localhost /1337/movies. So what am I going to do? I'm going to process some information based on the availability of the content from this thing, the content from our backend server. So this movies, and I'm going to retrieve the movie ID. Understood? And Every time I get this, I'm going to subscribe. What am I going to subscribe here? I'm going to subscribe to all other associated information which I can collect. And this can be of any type. Again, this is going to be a callback function where I declare the values for every individual movie to be collected and assigned with this information data. Right? So let me terminate this, and I guess, yeah, this should be fine. This is the bracket over here. This is the bracket over here. Yeah, this gets closed. This gets closed. Okay, fine. Now, this is for viewing some movie, right? So this is collecting the information. Now I want to delete a movie because this is a function which we have deleted, right? Okay, we did not delete. We did not define the delete method. Just give me 1 second. I've made a mistake somewhere. Yep. So I should be able to call this method. I just copy and paste it, and it is an error now. So what is the function supposed to be? This is going to be on click. We are supposed to call this delete movie function. Let's remove all those. So I guess this should be fine. So I've deleted the, I'm calling this delete movie now. And whenever I'm calling this delete movie, I just have to confirm. Yeah, I have to process an additional check. This is how you start building an application as a developer. So you cannot just click something and delete something, right? So do you really want to delete this movie? And this is going to have some associated process inside. And now again, I have to tell it. So the user is going to tell that he is going to delete something, right? So that delete will be obtained as a function, right? And that function raises a HTTP request. Where is that request supposed to process? Again, in HTTP :/localhost, we are trying to connect our server again. I mean the backend server again. So /movies. And this is going to delete based on a particular movie's ID, right? So this dot movie dot ID, right? And then we have to subscribe to the further updates which we are going to make. So data, which is a callback function, and in that callback function we have this dot router, and the router is going to take us back to a particular page, because after deleting you do not want to continue on an empty screen, right? So let's say you are going into one particular movie, and inside that movie, what do you have? You have one movie and you have deleted that. So what happens after deleting that? You should come out, right? So that is what we are going to do here, right? And next I'm going to perform this show edit movie dialog. So what happens when we are trying to edit a movie? Again, there is this curly braces and let u, which is equal to this dot model ref. So this is these are some references for which I'm going to create embedded view as null, right? And this dot vc ref dot insert. So what is this insert going to do? Whatever we have received as an update, it will be updated onto our server. And finally, the close dialog. So what this dialog box is going to do? So whenever you press this edit or delete button, this will be opening up a particular dialog. So reference dot clear, and clear is going to remove all those dialog blocks. So let me save this. And this is where you should understand the properties of some different methods. Yes, Magesh. So thank you for your answer. So dialog means it will be showing up as a pop-up. So now when we are trying to render, we were discussing about this activated route, right? So what is the meaning of activated route? Whenever we want some specific pages, because I told you, right, whenever we are trying to access this get movies, I'm taking you to our Postman. So get movies is going to give you all the movies available, and whenever I'm pressing this one, that specific movie is going to be returned. Am I right or not? That is called as activated route, and this is the ID. This is actually called as the route parameters or route parameters in Node and Express, and that is what we'll be giving in. So this usually will be mentioned like this, and this is called as activated route in terms of Angular. Now what we are going to do here is and now it is time for you to understand how this model ref works. Okay, so inside this template, we have used this model ref, right? Model ref and VC ref. So what is the meaning of this model ref? So this model reference is going to be a let's say a temporary storage, a buffer space for holding the information about this specific instance when the server is running. Okay, so whenever I'm asking for one specific movie, it creates a reference, and that reference is being stored in this model ref buffer space or variable. Let's call that as variable, right? And what is the next thing which is supposed to happen? So when you are deleting a movie, some other thing is supposed to happen. When you are editing a movie, something is supposed to happen, right? Some dialog box is supposed to appear. So all these things are generated into this model ref and VC ref. So model ref understands the first piece of code that a particular instance is supposed to return, and the second code is going to be held within the container and is stored in the VC, right? So the VC ref. So all these things determine when this particular process is going to be complete, what to do when complete is going to what to do when completion of a particular event is supposed to happen. So all these things are associated with the view of this components. Now I'm coming back to the terminal again, and we are going to create a few more objects, but as of now I'm just going to show you how this actually works. So let's see if this is going to work correctly or not. So ng serve means our application will start rendering. And now I'm just going to go to this local host colon 4200. Yeah, this is going to have some time. So our code is going to, okay, so there is movie view component.ts line number. So just give me a second, guys. There is no error in this. ng template is not closed. Let me check, Magesh. Let me come back to this code. No, ng template is closed. I guess I shouldn't be having a division over here. Button line number 17. So there are only 4 buttons here. Opening and the other is closing. Both of them are within the span. This is right. Yes, let me just check this. Some syntax error are there. So actually the build is complete, I guess. Line number 18. This is movie view component. Yes, it's not a no. Okay, so I just have to bind this. So that is the only thing left out. Okay, so all the other errors have been removed, guys. I just have to ensure that this is mapped onto this routes, proper routes. Okay, so for that you have number of other elements inside. Let me just check once. So we will be having this add movie component, and for add movie, or for delete movie, for editing a movie, we have some separate components. But just let me have some common style elements, and I will show you how. So I'll be taking those links and I'll be sharing it with you. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to pause this share for a second. So I'm just going to take my existing files, and I'm just going to paste it inside. Okay, so just give me 1 second. Add components. I'll take the content from from the code which I have already done, and I'll be displaying it to you shortly. So I'll explain you how this code actually works. So I'm just going to create a few more components over here. So to provide the list of movies, I will just explain you how that is done with the help of movie list. So it is already my content inside. I'm just going to have everything together so that you can try it on your own. So I've shown you how the default structure of this application is going to work. And now I've created all individual elements which is needed for either being the styling or the other things. So I'm just going to add everything inside and we'll connect in a while. This is considering that the amount of time is not sufficient. And I'll be explaining you every individual piece of code. So finally, I'm going to add the routes accordingly, and I'm going to connect back with you to create a new file, styles.css. Save this. So coming back to the code here. So you can see here, I've just added a few more components for editing. So the header I created and showed to you. So movie view we created, header and movie view we created. All the other processes, for movie card, how this movie card is supposed to be, how to edit a movie, how to add a movie. For deleting, it is a simple function that we all know, and for adding a movie, it is something beyond that. So now we have this add movie as a component, edit movie as a component. So what is this add movie going to do? What is this add movie going to do? So this add movie is going to just add something inside, right? Add a new movie inside. So how this add movie is supposed to be? What are the details it should be collecting, and what I've just inputted the random component here. I mean the default component here, and similarly edit movie I've done this from the template I had. So what this editing is going to happen, what the default styles are going to have. So the movie card. So similarly, all these are added as components. Now it is time for us to include everything into the routing part. So how do we route them actually? So in order to add routing, we have to tell this app.routing module. So you can see here, this app.routing module is already there, and this is going to have the paths for all these things. So you can see here, there are routes, and for this routes, we have to define what are the available paths. So this is very important in terms of Angular, guys. So we have to define that as an object. So path, when this is empty, this will be loading our root page, root folder, right? So let's define this component. So what component is being displayed? So movie list component is going to be loaded, and movie list component is something which we added, right? So this movie list component, and let's define another path. So another path, if the movie is selectively defined by the user. So I told you, right, this is routing in Node. So if that is done selectively, which component should be loaded? So movie view component should be loaded. So this is how we have to define this routing. So once we save this routing, so now our application should be able to run. So let us press this, let us try running this, and we have to do one more thing here. There is app module.ts. So this will tell us what are the supposed modules that should be executed. So these are the modules which we have done. We have worked here, and we have to import one another important aspect. So let me just check. if all the modules are inside. So movie list component is here, movie card component is here. I guess there is an error. So this is a duplicate identifier. Again, this is a duplicate component. So we have not defined this movie module, but I'm going to add this imports. So imports, again, you have to mention what are the modules which we are going to import inside. So I'm going to include this HTTP client module as well. So HTTP client module indicates that we are going to utilize some important client and server request methods. So once I have done that, we can export this class app module. Yes, done. So I guess this is done, and let us check. Though our app is not complete, I've defined some 20 minutes for your doubt solving session, and that is why I'm just completing this. So let this server be up and running, and we will see how our server works. Yes, I'm going to show the output now. So once the server starts, oh God. So movie list dot component. Just give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to pause the sharing again. Yes, the movie card components are not defined. Just give me 1 second, guys. I have to check this one last thing. Where I perform this routing. I'll just include this router component into app component.html. Now I'm saving this. Okay. Movie list as movie list dot component. Yeah, there's one last thing. I'm just checking this routing components. Just give me 1 second. Routes. Routing. Saving this. Finally, app module.ts. App.ts. Just input. Okay, I'm still getting an error. Just give me a second. Still. movie list dot component. I'm just removing this app movie card just for the sake of showing you how this actually works. Let me just refresh this. Okay. Can host 4,200. So this should have got a movie, right? So it is not connecting. Okay, so that app movie card is something, which is supposed to connect with our server. And for every movie inside this movies, I have to. So this is something, which I have missed somewhere. And can't bind movie since it is not a known property of app movie card. So this is the movie card. I should be able to get all these movies. So you see here, this is the movie card here. So app movie card is the selector over here. Yeah, this app movie card is not being imported inside this movie list component. Let me just check this code for 1 second. So this happens again, at least, my server, if this isn't the case, our server would have connected successfully. I mean, even now it is connecting successfully. It is just this. So you can see here, the server has responded. So anyways, guys, let me just not waste any more time. Though this has not been successful, I'm showing you this code here. This has failed to be imported. So this, if I'm removing this, so you can see here immediately my application would start running fine. Okay, I forgot to save this. Right, so with this, the app movie card hasn't been properly imported into this. Movie card is from here. So other than that, my server has been connected successfully. Okay, what a timing. So yes, this movie card is the problem. I'm just stopping this process and rerunning it. So it is just this dependency, this movie card failed to be a part of that movie list. So anyways, guys, we have reached the end of this session. Okay, it is still throwing an error. But, feel free to just work on this, define these components separately, and we will be connecting shortly, right? So if you have any doubts, you can ask me now.
And guys, everyone who has not filled the form, please fill the form, as we will be sending the certificates to everyone.
Yes.
Please make sure to fill the form. Manoj sir, somebody has a question.
Yeah. Is data structure needed for web development? It is advised that you have this knowledge about trees, graphs, and the other things, because whenever you are processing something, whenever you are searching for something, let's say, data structures, knowledge about data structures will give you a better insight on how this searching could be done faster. Okay, so without data structures, if you are going to ask me if that is possible, yes, it is still possible. But it is going to be slightly more challenging for you to come up with some methods. Okay. So yes, Sumitra, we can come up with the internship program. So we have a crash course program with us. So you can you can ask your college faculty members or your HOD whether this crash course be considered as, because we'll be having this a number of projects. All these projects will be will be given by our oh, you completed your degree. Okay, so you are asking for a paid internship. Okay, so let me just get back to you on that shortly. So you can make a note of this email which we have, right? So that email you can connect with us, right? For regarding that. Okay, so any other questions? Magesh asked a question. Okay, great. Great. Main stack developer course you completed. Great, then let me have a discussion with my team and let you know, Sumitra. You can also drop a mail to the display email ID. So based on that, we'll let you know. Okay. And what Magesh, which things we learn in college placement? Yes, these the college placement, the things associated with college placements are very generic, Magesh. Okay, but you need to dive deep into these concepts, and you have to learn how they are actually implemented. Okay, Sumitra, okay, Magesh, I'll tell you. So, Mean is a full stack developer course where you discuss about MongoDB instead of APIs. Just now we tried connecting with APIs, right? So instead of APIs, we would be connecting with MongoDB. Almost the same course. Okay. So Sumitra, I guess Magesh is asking for the certification which you have got. So associate level, okay, course link. We have a mean stack program with us, Magesh. If you are interested, you can let me know.
And again, I reiterate, if somebody has not filled the form, just please fill the form. We'll be sending certificates.
Yeah. So we'll be building some, more projects. So just imagine, if we can develop one full stack application in 3 hours, we can, imagine how many projects we would have been built in our actual curriculum. So we have our programs with complete hands-on basis. So every day some exercises will be there, and whatever I have done today, we will be giving these assignments to you. So I'll be adding one component, and I'll be asking you to add another component which you can get some extensive practice upon. To answer Sumitra's question, definitely Sumitra will be sending the link for all these courses. And to answer Sumitra's question, what the current technology is better for web development? A good question. It completely depends on the type of application which we want to build, because for web development you can simply start off with PHP, which is not scalable and which is not reliable in terms of security and so on. Yes, PHP and Laravel, of course. You also have other programs where you can develop some single page applications, like with the help of React and Angular, which is again going to do you some benefit in terms of virtual DOM, which allows your applications to run much faster. And you have some other operation, some other programming web development languages, full stack languages, where you can implement Python, which again is much more scalable. So based on the type of applications, there is always one technology better than the other, right? You cannot be confined to one. So when you're planning to build a learning management system, different technologies work in different ways. So if it is completely how you want your application to be. So based on that, okay. So any other questions?
And everybody, we request you to visit our website, unikaksha.com. If anybody has any queries, they can send an email to email address, and they can call phone numbers as well. Please visit unikaksha.com as well.
So thank you for your time, everyone. I wish you all the best for your future. And, if you're a student, I wish you all the best for your placements. Recordings will be available, and we'll be sharing that with with participants through email, right?
Yes.
So thank you for your time, everyone. Have a good night and bye.
Thanks. Good evening, everyone. And thanks for joining us. Have a very good night. Bye-bye.
And please stay tuned to our websites, our Facebook page. Social media pages are there, upon which we'll be posting in a lot of updates every day. Once in 2 days, we'll be having some events like this. So feel free to subscribe and get to know the updates then and there. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone. Bye.